High on their own fumes, the Netscapies began to think they were invincible. They treated even their allies with arrogant indifference. And as for their enemies, one in particular, they violated one of Silicon Valley's cardinal rules: don't moon the giant. Back in the days when no one would give the finger to Microsoft, here was Mark Andreessen in the press over and over, heaping scorn on the company.
Mark Andreessen was very clear on many occasions that he didn't think much of Microsoft, he didn't think much about the quality of Microsoft software, and he thought that Windows was dead.
Windows is going to be a bag of poorly debugged device drivers was one of his sort of most notable quotes.
A poorly debugged set of device drivers? What does that even mean? To people who speak English like you and me, it doesn't sound so bad. But if you're an engineer, the kind of person who speaks geek, Mark Andreessen's comment was the equivalent of a slur on Bill Gates' mother.
And it played straight into Gates' hands, spurring Microsoft on in their burgeoning war against Netscape.
Do you know what my favorite run of the day is?
The last one?
On the 13th of October, 1994, after months of feverish non-stop coding, Netscape's new web browser, Navigator, finally hit the streets.
From this moment, conflict was inevitable, with Netscape cast as the upstart David and Microsoft as the mighty Goliath. Now, you might not think that David would have much of a chance in this fight, but from the moment Netscape's browser, Navigator, was launched, it was an instant runaway success.
The night of the first release, we set up in one of the conference rooms, we set up a computer to watch the downloads, and we had a sound effect where there'd be a cannon shot every time somebody downloaded the software. And, after a while, it sounded like a war, because there was just cannon shot, it's just continuous cannon shot.
Soon the web was spreading like wildfire around the globe. The internet age had truly begun, and it had nothing to do with Microsoft.
We've never seen anything like this in the history of software. In 30 days, 90% of the people who were on the web switched from Mosaic to Netscape. That just doesn't happen in software. Nothing. Ever. Ever.
I think it definitely would have been hard, to say the least, without Google's resources in place to deal with the level of interest in our company from the larger media players.
YouTube may have become the largest target of the old guard's attempt to protect its flank. But while the service has indeed become a place where millions of people post and share copyrighted material, that may not be the most significant threat that YouTube poses to big media.
I think what they're feeling is just the effects of the internet, is that the internet opens up new opportunities for distribution that they don't necessarily control. And people have the opportunity to create their own content, and people are entertaining themselves. I think at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. Sometimes they feel threatened by the fact that people would rather watch themselves than to watch their content.
Do you know what my favorite run of the day is?
The last one?
As it was with Napster, the initial popularity of MySpace had a lot to do with sharing and accessing music. By the spring of 2005, the site had gone through the roof, attracting 27 million registered users, growing at a blistering pace, and overtaking even the web's reigning colossus in terms of monthly traffic.
When we passed Google on page views, I mean, that was a significant moment. It just seemed, wow, we can't be that big, It just didn't seem right for us and the small company that we had, and Google was so huge and always in the news, and that was a very significant moment when that happened.
MySpace was suddenly the web's hottest property. So hot, in fact, that it would draw the interest of the world's biggest media companies and the most ancient Zeus-like moguls. The rise of MySpace would also usher in what promises to be the next great battle in high technology. A battle not between the new order and the old order, but between the ascending stars of the Web 2.0 universe. Brilliant, the spectacle that obsessed with computers since his boyhood, Bill Gates' journey to becoming the most powerful figure in technology began in 1975 when, at the age of 19, he dropped out of Harvard to start Microsoft with his high school pal, Paul Allen. Gates' vision was simple and wildly ambitious. A PC on every desktop, in every home and every office, and every one of those PCs running Microsoft software. By 1993, his dream was tantalizingly close to becoming reality. About 90% of the world's PCs were running Microsoft Windows. Gates and the army that he'd amassed on Microsoft's sprawling campus in suburban Seattle worked insanely hard, and they played very rough with their rivals. The company's rise had left a trail of corpses in its wake. There was Lotus, there was WordPerfect, there was Borland, there was Novell, even mighty IBM, all brought to their knees. Gates was now one of the richest and most influential men on Earth, and he knew it. Rose and Adelson run Dig, a social news website, the content of which is chosen by its devoted user community of millions. Hurley, meanwhile, is the co-founder of one of the planet's most insanely popular websites, YouTube, the online video sharing service that was bought by Google in 2006 for a jaw-dropping $1.65 billion. Now, you might think that like other startup players, these guys are in it to get rich. And yeah, they are. But they're also on a mission to change the world through web-enabled people power.
I think it's just, this is what the internet's all about. The internet's about connecting individuals or connecting individuals to information.
Who do you trust more? Do you trust some corporate executive in some smoky-filled back room, or do you trust your peers and the people who are connected to you?
If that sounds like fighting talk, that's because it is. Dig and YouTube are part of a new wave of web services, each more popular than the last, all of which offer an alternative to old-school media, like the one you're watching right now.